Goode Space students would like to present our Goode Listening podcast. This came about with our exploration of issues or problems in our community that we felt needed to be explored and talked about. You will hear students sharing their concerns and solutions for the issues that affect them today. In Chicago, in the United States, fall/winter 2020 through 21. Though we have been physically distant and learning remotely, we can use our voices to come together to bring awareness to the problems that really concern all of us, and use this platform to continue the conversation as the foundation to bring about change. And if we want to change, we have to speak up. Please join us and listen to Voices of Goode.
Today I'm talking to you about gun violence. How would it feel if you wake up one day to the news of someone you loved has passed away? That someone has taken their life? How would it feel? Sad? Mad? Or both? Or would you want to make a change and do something about it?
It makes me very sad that some people in this country value their right to own a gun rather than innocent children's lives.
Many people have lost their families and because of this issue, and because of this, the rules should be more strict.
One way to stop gun violence in my city is to ban assault weapons and high-capacity ammunition. Another way is to ask people for their background on firearms and ask for their criminal record, and not to sell it to people who have a bad criminal record.
Tools we need to use to work on gun violence is speaking our truth. Talk about this topic with everybody. Hear everybody out and how gun violence affected them personally too.
The use of gun violence is deeply rooted in our culture, which is why we must take a public health approach to ensure that our families and communities are safe.
Gun violence destroys family. It destroys everything. Gun violence is the worst type of thing to hear.
Over 1 million Americans have been shot in the past decade, and gun violence rates are rising across the country.
Now imagine all the people's lives that have been taken from shootings and all their family that has to deal with something as horrific as that.
A way this can be resolved is by making guns more rare throughout everywhere.
We have to do better as a community when it comes down to the city where we live that are having these problems the worst. Like, let's start a program about stopping the violence or marching to come together and make a change for our community.
6 people died in a month, and those people were not supposed to die.
I think gun violence is something we shouldn't have to worry about in the world, but we do.
We're the people who have a voice on what we want to say about the issue before it gets worse, so please speak up.
My Block, My Hood, My City is an organization that helps address gun violence. They talk about issues as a community and how to stop it as one at the north side of Chicago. Healing Corner is an organization that talks about gun violence, and the community makes plans and meetings to see how they can stop gun violence at Humboldt Park.
Imagine not having to fear being killed because of a gun and not being afraid to go to school just to learn. Seems nice, doesn't it? We can make it a reality because enough is enough. Let's make a change and put a stop to this for those who can no longer speak up. Thank you for listening.
The term Latinx is offensive because it's erasing the term that us Latinos have already made for us, and is forcing the English language on native Spanish speakers. Instead of the term being inclusive, it is exclusive because it's forcing Spanish speakers to use a word that they're not familiar with. As author Giancarlo Sopo of US Today argues, rather than making Latinos feel included, progressives are implying that the way our families speak is fundamentally inadequate for the United States and progressive American culture. This is offensive to the 85% of Hispanics who, like my parents, speak Spanish to their children and whose most treasured heirlooms are often family traditions in Spanish. If anyone who's Latino and gender non-conforming prefers to be referred to as Latinx, that is fine. But Latinx should not be forced on the Latino community. Progressives should not tell Latinos what to refer themselves as, for the sake of wokeness. Instead of choosing what Latinos should be referred to as, they should listen to how Latinos feel about the term Latinx.
Actively seeking to harm, intimidate, or pressure. Bullying is a serious problem in schools today. Most children become bullies due to stress or stressful situations they are forced to deal with. Bullies come off as a strong and confident people, but that's not it at all. They like the sense of authority they have over other kids because maybe that's the only thing they hold any power in.
People who get bullied also suffer from Great Depression and also do bad in school. and their grades.
Bullying is a problem that almost every school encounters and is affecting many students in their schools. 19% of schools have experienced bullying in school, while 43% has been in the halls and 42% has been in the classrooms.
People should come together and talk about bullying because too many kids are being depressed or trying to commit suicide. Please speak up about bullying so it could be stopped.
Bullying can happen online and in person. If you see or know someone who is getting bullied, you should try to help them and speak up. 60% of young people have witnessed online bullying. Most do not intervene. I've learned that even if you witness someone getting bullied, you add on to the conflict by not helping.
About 1 out of 5 people are bullied, which if you think about it, it's actually a lot. There are major consequences to being bullied. For instance, it can lead to depression, which then can lead to suicide. People don't give this issue enough recognition because kids always try hiding their feelings about being bullied.
If I had the power, I would make school a safe place for all students and make them feel at home, or make school a bully-free zone.
I would build a positive school climate to communicate with the students on how they believe in stopping bullying and tell them about the good days so kids can be calm in case if they get bullied.
National Suicide Prevention Lifeline. They help save kids' lives every day. If you see bullying going on, go to a parent or teacher and speak up about it.
I want people to spread awareness about cyberbullying, but also maybe check on your friends or family because you never know what they're going through.
This is serious and a big deal because, yes, kids do not speak up to an adult, whoever's growing up, because kids really do get scared. Bullying gets people hurt and could harm themselves for just someone bullying another person.
Bullying can be stopped if we all stick up for one another and not ignore the problem. Parents, I encourage you to sit down and have a conversation with your children. Teach them that this is not okay. No kid should have to go to school and deal with being picked on. Stop the bullying, make friends, and stick together.
Racial injustice in America reveals the many ways that it affects Black people's health, education, neighborhoods, and lives. In New York City, 88% of police stops in 2018 involved those of color, while 10% involved white people. Of those stops, 70% were completely innocent.
We are taught that every man is created equal, but if you are not white, it doesn't apply. The only reason why I'm speaking of this injustice is because Black people are the backbone of American society historically. From the time Africans were brought to America, we have influenced the cultural aspects of the United States. Could you imagine America without our inventions? Could you imagine what place the United States would be without the free labor of slaves?
Many people are born with opportunities. Many are born with little or no opportunity. We've been taught and told that every man is created equal, but it doesn't feel like that at all. Many people are less than others based on the color of their skin. Most of the reason that we have everything we do is because of the free labor of minorities from 100 years ago. Without the free or cheap labor, many people who are born rich would have never been rich.
Racism is a problem that we have today, even though it is not socially acceptable. It is still practiced and is still present anywhere we look. The KKK is the oldest hate group that still exists. It was estimated that there are 5,000 to 8,000 Klan members still active till this day.
So when you listen to this speech, I hope you listen with open heart and mind. Thank you for your time.
Today, I'm going to talk to you about poverty in Chicago. The reason this is such a big issue is because 1 in 4 children in Chicago are living in poverty, and many neighborhoods in Chicago have 10 or more % of households living in the poverty, and some are close to that line. In my opinion, I feel like poverty affects kids because it makes a kid hungry for money and attention if the parents work all day or don't work at all. This usually leads to gang activity or bad influences. It's sad seeing kids so young locked up or throwing their life away like that. Imagine a world where there is less poverty or more opportunities in struggling neighborhoods. There would be less gang activity and less violence, which is also huge in Chicago. Tools we have to use to work on this issue are maybe keeping parks and free activities open for children in neighborhoods with problems like this. I hear that lack of opportunity is a problem that causes this too. I would say giving more opportunities to people from everywhere in the city would help. I need you to think about this and maybe put yourself in people's shoes who live through this, and maybe look at how you could help people who are struggling, even if it's something small, like volunteering in a food drive.
The reason home burglaries are a problem is because there have been many cases of home burglaries in Chicago. When a home burglary occurs, it is most likely when nobody is home. A home burglary can become more than just a burglary. What I mean is that when a burglar enters your home while you're in your own home, it can become violent or the burglary can harm you and your family. On average, there are about 2.5 million burglaries occurring every year. Chicago is one of the cities with the highest crime rate in the country. There aren't any statistics that show how many burglaries there have been in Chicago this past year, but in my neighborhood, there have been many home burglaries. In my own street, home burglaries occur at least 4 to 5 times a year. My next door neighbor was a victim of home burglary, but in their case, they were in their home while the burglary was occurring. This is shocking to me because me and my family could have been victims of this burglary instead, and we could have been in danger. In my opinion, this problem can be solved by having more cops patrolling my neighborhood. My neighborhood is very unknown because it is in a closed area. This is why I also believe my neighborhood suffers from many home burglaries, because it is in a closed, unknown area. I believe my neighborhood would be a friendlier neighborhood if this problem was to be solved. More people will go out their house without the fear of getting burglarized. I also believe that many people should be more cautious of their home. For example, they should use cameras or alarm systems for the safety of their home. Many people probably can't afford things like these, but in my opinion, it is better to spend your money on securing your home from getting home burglarized than to lose something more valuable.
You have been listening to Voices of Good, brought to you by Sarah E. Good students in the Space class. Now be sure to engage and make a change.